Social work has an emphasis on the individual within the context of their environment. Hey there, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about why I chose social work. I earned my undergraduate in psychology, so why on earth would I switch to social work? Let's get into the details today. I got into the psychology major for the reason that most people do, and that is to help other people. I wanted to open my own practice, and then when I was earning my undergraduate degree, we had a guest speaker in one of my classes, and she talked about how if we wanted to open our own practice, we would need to acquire a doctorate degree in psychology, either a PsyD or a PhD, versus if we were to go on to earn a master's of social work, then we could do 3,000 hours of supervised work after our MSW and then go on to apply for licensure in the state that we live in or in the state that we plan to practice in. This seemed like a much more feasible option for me because I returned to school a lot later and I could not picture myself enrolling in a doctorate program after my bachelor's degree. When I looked into the differences between the programs, I wasn't quite sold on psychology. I've had an interest in the human mind for a long time, and I think like many of us, we become interested in psychology because either we experienced trauma or we were around people that had mental health issues, whether it was a family member, ourselves, or we were just curious about the way the brain works. It's a great reason to get into psychology, but when you look at the differences between the two fields, you can really see how one would fit better into your life than the other. We'll start with psychology. As I said before, psychology has a main focus on the human brain. It's through the lens of individual mechanics of the brain, so cognition, motor function, sensation and perception, function and dysfunction, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, adaptive and maladaptive functioning. There tends to be an emphasis on disorders and pathology. There is a high focus on research, much of which is an experimental design or quantitative research. Social work has an emphasis on the individual within the context of their environment. While it does have a focus on the human mind and the mechanics of the mind and sometimes mental health disorders, so for example, you would learn how to diagnose people by using the DSM-5, which is the current modality within the United States for diagnosing mental health disorders. However, social work is less focused on only individuals, and it is broken down into three, sometimes four categories: micro work, meso, macro work, and Bronfenbrenner, one of the theorists in social work, had classified the Chronos system. So we'll talk about each of the different systems. Microsystem work tends to focus on the physical and mental well-being of individuals, assessing what's going on for that individual in their specific environment. What's going on with their mental health? What's going on with their physical health? Race, ethnicity, gender, orientation, and other social attributes that might impact their life. Then we move into the mesosystem, which has to do with small groups like families, churches, classrooms, and other social settings that might impact individuals within small groups. Macrosystems include things like policies, institutions, lawmaking, cultural norms, media, things that impact everybody within a society or within a culture. A huge focus for social work is ethics and human rights, as well as preserving human dignity and advocacy. Another aspect of social work that really appeals to me specifically is the ability to impact policy, which plays a huge role in advocacy. Social work has an emphasis on theories. It also has an emphasis on research. It's typically more qualitative with an emphasis on evidence-based care for clients. I spoke before about why I got into the field to begin with. I wanted to help other people. When I was weighing the pros and cons of psychology and social work, while I found psychology to be extremely fascinating, I thought that social work would be a better fit for me because realistically, I'm going to be going to school for my MSW for 3 years. 2 of those years include field practice, followed by about 3,000 hours where I'm going to be supervised by somebody with an LCSW, which is the credential that I hope to earn. This seemed like a much more feasible path for me. Everybody's different. Some people are really fascinated by the way the human mind works, and that's great. I really wanted to do something that I could apply in a much shorter time frame. I started back in college after having children, so I finished my bachelor's degree a little bit later in life and moved on to graduate studies in my late 30s. So for me to start my career, it probably would have taken me into my 40s. This seemed like the more realistic pathway for me, and I'm really, really glad that I made this decision. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. I'm a new YouTuber and it all really helps me improve. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate every single one of you. I'll be linking a video right here about my first semester in the social work program, and I hope that you'll join me there. Thank you so much. Take care.